we will launch a full investigation into ICE, and we will haul these masked men in front of the U.S. Senate so the world can see their faces. We will pass a law requiring ICE agents to identify themselves. We will pass a law banning them from wearing masks, and we will pass a law banning them from kidnapping people off our streets without a warrant. No more secret police. No more disappearing people. This is the United States of America. We're not supposed to be afraid of our government. Our government is supposed to be afraid of us.
Austin State Representative and Democratic Senatorial candidate James Tallarico there. It's Thursday, January 8th, 2026. And this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Yet another where to start morning here. A great many of our listeners at Progress Texas are directly involved in progressive politics. We're proud to count elected officials and their staffers and candidates and folks who work for advocacy organizations, people who have in many cases devoted their lives to resisting the conservative undermining of the basic dignity of our country as the primary thing that they do day to day. We are also proud to have a lot of folks listening who have been inspired by our messages and similar ideas from others to get more involved in that resistance, showing up to rallies, showing up to school board meetings, contributing time and treasure to candidates and causes, in some cases, simply committing to voting at every opportunity, probably the most important thing we can do. But the news from Minneapolis, the fatal shooting at close range of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Macklin Good by a still unidentified and masked ICE agent has reached many of us like a warning. To many of us here in Republican-dominated Texas, yesterday's news isn't just another headline from some distant city that many of us have never visited. It's rather a scenario in which many of us have imagined ourselves as characters. Yesterday's news feels like a personal threat, and for those of us who see it for what it is, it's a source of profound grief. Renee Nicole Macklin Good. The Associated Press says she was a 37-year-old mom with 3 kids, U.S. citizen, born in Colorado. In her social media, she described herself as a poet and writer and wife and mom, currently experiencing Minneapolis, displaying a pride flag on her Instagram account. Her Pinterest profile picture shows her smiling and holding a young child against her cheek. Her posts about tattoos, hairstyles, and home decorating. Renee Nicole Macklin Good's ex-husband was reached by the AP. He asked not to be named out of concern for the safety of their children, and he told them that Renee had just dropped off her 6-year-old son at school and was driving home with her current partner when they encountered that group of ICE agents on that snowy street near their new home in Minneapolis, where they had just moved last year from Kansas City. He told AP reporters that Renee Nicole Macklin Good was not even an activist, that he had never known her to participate in a protest of any kind. He described her as a devoted Christian who took part in youth mission trips to Northern Ireland when she was a kid. She loved to sing. She participated in a chorus in high school and studied vocal performance in college. She also studied creative writing at Old Dominion University in Virginia. She won a prize in 2020 for one of her works, according to a post on the school's English department Facebook page. She hosted a podcast with her second husband. He died a couple of years ago in 2023. Renee Nicole Macklin Good had a daughter and a son from her first marriage. They are now ages 15 and 12. Her 6-year-old son was from her second marriage. In her life, she was never charged with any crime beyond a traffic ticket. But for those who are buying what Donald Trump and his machine are selling, Renee Nicole Macklin Good was a domestic terrorist. Think about what that means. Every MAGA elected official in this country would have you believe that Renee Nicole Macklin Good arrived on that street in Minneapolis in her Honda Pilot with the intent to kill federal officials as part of a broader effort to destroy America by inciting terror among her fellow citizens. This line was adopted immediately across the board by a propaganda machine of tremendous efficiency, in spite of video from multiple camera angles springing from every screen in this country, plainly showing the ridiculous folly of that narrative. Renee Nicole Macklin Good was also allowed to bleed out in her car as ICE agents refused to allow a bystander with medical training to help her. The ICE agent who shot her in the face was whisked from the scene within 3 minutes of those shots having been fired. The chances of that man ever being identified seem slim. The chances of his arrest even more slim. The chances of a conviction that sticks, as long as the Republicans are in control, are close to zero. If Renee Nicole Macklin Good, at worst passively resisting the presence of masked federal goons in her neighborhood, can be shot to death in broad daylight in view of multiple cameras amidst a crowd of witnesses, and justice still appear an impossibility, it's not a reach to say that something just as bad can happen much more quietly to me or to you or to any of us who might get in the way. Renee Nicole Macklin Good was one of us, a neighbor, a legal observer, a woman with a whistle and a camera who believed that the vulnerable should not have to face the machinery of the state alone. Seeing her life snuffed out on a snowy residential street and then seeing her character assassinated by federal officials before her family could even begin to understand or grieve strikes at the very heart of the notion of protection that we often assume our citizenship of this country provides. ICE is not present to protect anyone. They are present to terrorize. Dragging this back to Texas, a state where the boundaries between federal, state, and local law enforcement are being intentionally blurred. Parts of Texas are already desensitized to daily encounters with burly military types in masks after years of Operation Lone Star. And sightings of ICE patrols are becoming more and more common in our major cities. Assuming that what happened to Renee Nicole Macklin Good could happen on your street is no longer paranoid, it's a rational assessment of the current political climate. For many of us engaging in active and vocal protest, the fear of being arrested is developing into a fear of being actively targeted. The speed with which Republican officials trotted out the domestic terrorist label for Renee Nicole Macklin Good tells us that they'll do that for us too, should it become convenient or expedient. To see a legal observer killed while performing a role meant to ensure law enforcement accountability is a stark shattering of what we've been taught are the rules of engagement. And for some among us, this will be too much. They'll shut it down and go home. And frankly, at this moment, it's all too understandable and fair to be afraid. It is natural to consider the shelter of silence. And if you're truly engaged, of course you wonder if the risk has become too great. But remember this. The goal of these aggressive tactics is to induce what we'd call political paralysis. They want the fear of meeting a fate like the one Renee Nicole Macklin Good met yesterday to keep you off the streets, off the socials, and away from your neighbors' doors. They want you to feel isolated in your sorrow, but the antidote to that sorrow is solidarity. And that's not just a statement, that's a defensive strategy. Instead of giving up and backing down, we instead opt for organized resilience. We can best honor Renee Nicole Macklin Good not by retreating, but by resolving to work more closely with the millions of our fellow citizens, thousands of whom took to the streets in Minneapolis and New York and Seattle and Chicago last night, and will continue to take to the streets in the days to come. Individuals can be targeted, yes, but there is still strength in numbers. In Texas, we have a long, proud history of standing our ground. Renee Nicole Macklin Good was in that place at that moment because she knew that watching and witnessing matters. We can honor her sacrifice by refusing to back down, refusing to look away, and refusing to shut up as long as the country, state, and neighborhoods we love remain under attack. Early voting in the March primary starts on February 17th. That's real soon. See the show notes for a Texas 2026 March primary ballot form from the Texas Tribune that you can use right now with your home address to see who's running in the primary in which you choose to vote. A great tool to use to look into candidates and actually know who they are and what they're about before you head to the polls. Super handy and something you should start looking at right now if you haven't yet. And of course, everything you need to be sure your registration is in order. Do that too. Go to govotetexas.org. Our mission at Progress Texas is to improve and save Texans' lives by acting on our shared, bold, progressive values, and that starts with countering the billionaire and corporate-funded disinformation machine. While we enjoy the support of hundreds of partners, chances are that you, dear listener, haven't joined the team yet. If you're a regular, let's get you on board right now. A huge thanks to monthly supporters Mark Melton, Carol Mannon, and John Hill. We appreciate all of you very, very much. Join them and the team at progresstexas.org. Progress Texas has joined the lineup of legendary KPFT Radio in Houston and are now reaching voters in the largest and most diverse city in Texas. With your support, we hope to replicate this effort beyond Houston to the top 5 media markets in 2026, adding to our huge and growing Texas progressive audience online that reaches millions. Click the link in the show notes to make your tax-deductible donation today and help us reach new audiences via Texas Radio. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Thursday, January 8th, 2026. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is an independent, nonprofit, rapid response media organization. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media in action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning.